Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday talk within the Nine-Sided Circle. I am your host, Noor Kyle.
And I am her faithful sidekick, Mushtaq Ali.
Yes, and thank you to all of you who are joining us live or watching on the replay this week. Thank you so much for being here with us and tuning in. We're talking about some good stuff this week. We are taking a pivot, aren't we, Mushtaq?
Yeah, it's not really a pivot.
Well,
This is actually what we've been sneaking up on for weeks and weeks now.
you're right. This is definitely tied to what we discussed last week when we talked about the present moment
And the week before,
and the
and
week
the week
before
before
that.
that, and
So
all
we
those
are,
Gurdjieff things too.
yes, we're going deeper into the subject matter and looking at it from even more angles, all of which, of course, are tied to the thread of the present moment practice and being in the present moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about the lineage that we come from, which is unique in the world of Sufism. It is, uh, it takes a very different view than what one might think of as classic Southern Sufism. And
I get that.
I got it. And what we're going to talk about today comes from a book called the Ārif-nāma, which basically means the book of the Gnostic or the treatise of the Gnostic. And it is a book written by a fellow by the name of Arif Riv, let me see if I can pronounce this name. Rivgari, Arif al-Rivgari, who
Yes.
was the student of Abdul Khalik Gurjevani, who was the guy who gave us the precepts and a bunch of other cool stuff, and the teacher of Fruganawi, who was the guy who gave us the present moment exercise. And what we intend to do this evening is to show the course of knowledge that was handed down from teacher to teacher and refined by each successive teacher in this lineage, starting with Yusuf Hamadani and moving through his first four uh, khalifas, and then to these two teachers. And
Yep.
this was about um, over 100 years before Bahauddin Naqshband, to give you something that most people who are interested in Sufism can understand, place it in the date.
Yeah. And for those who are kind of leaping in from the outside, um, Rivgari he passed away in December of 1219 CE. So this was quite some time ago, and yet not that long ago in the big scheme of things when you consider the long course of tradition here.
Yeah. And it is our contention that um, this each of these teachers gave something that built upon their predecessor to the point where the practices were laid as a foundation to the work. And this is what Gurdjieff got his hands on to craft a whole lot of his idea of what the work was. Um, and we've talked about that at various times, how we know these things. And so here we are, and we're going to talk about, um, I think of it like the guy who wrote the Ārif-nāma created a treasure chest, and he locked this wisdom inside of it. And then his student, Fraganawi, uh, crafted the key that opened the chest. And that's our story, and we're sticking to it. But before I tell you all about it, let me invite you to do some very simple things. One is to like this video, if you would be so kind. It really helps us. You know, it's one click for you, but it helps us fight the evil of the algorithm. And
Yes.
make a comment if you want. We love to read your comments. Oftentimes we get really intelligent comments and we really enjoy those. And the stupid comments you'll never have to see.
Yes, so this is, this is the creator struggle, and we are not immune to that, but we do appreciate that you guys help us out so enthusiastically. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and subscribe to the channel. This is a
Yeah.
cool channel. We love this channel. And we have a special this week only. If you subscribe to the channel, you will get subscribed for free, no charge, and we will think kind thoughts to you of you to God. Can't go wrong.
Amen, amen.
And you're also in a position where you can donate to us. And we'll say more about that anon. But you can send us some drachmas if you can.
From
But
the
anyway,
couch cushions, yes.
yeah,
So anyways,
let's
again,
get
thank
back
you
to
so
the
much for
thing.
being here. Let's continue with our theme of deepening into the present moment and how we can go about that.
So the Ārif-nāma says that there are four phases to transcendence of the ego, to breaking the bonds of the mechanical nature. And the first of them is called wajid in Arabic. And this is the point that gets you high. This is where you get this, wow,
Oh,
God flashes you.
that feeling when something, sometimes it's a feeling of something clicking, like, oh my God, I feel a connection. I feel some kind of sense that things make sense now. I feel invigorated, inspired.
Yeah. Yeah. Wajid is where the divine looks at you and says, hey, sailor, looking for a good time? And that's what it is. It is a good time. It is ecstatic. And it's dangerous because you can get stuck there. And if you do, you end up chasing the feeling, which is addiction to the highs.
Yeah.
Uh, you can make a badge for yourself of specialness. I have these great states. Uh, and you can pretend that you're getting infallible guidance, and you're not. So you have to guard from these things. But if you take it as a wake-up shock and understand that it's not the destination, it will soften your heart a little bit and tilt your heart towards the qualities that you like, which
Mhm.
includes being awake,
Yep.
includes being kind, it includes being truthful, it includes being mindful, all of these nice things.
Warmth of the heart,
Yeah.
enthusiasm to start the path or to make a little progress along the way. Yes, Heidi.
Isn't that also known as spiritual bypassing? Is that the same thing?
Well, it can be. You can spiritual bypass on almost anything, but this is not per se spiritual bypassing unless you use it that way.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's not there is nothing intrinsically bad about it. In fact, it's actually something that often helps people feel like life has juice to it, that it's inspiring, that it feels good, that it moves us forward. It's when we get attached to that particular expression of connection that we get in trouble.
Yeah, so you are right, but no.
Yes, you are right that it can lead to spiritual bypassing it doesn't have to. Yeah. Em, I see you unmuting. Do you have a thought?
I did, but I didn't consciously unmute. Sorry. I don't know how I did
All
that.
good.
But I
Yeah.
do have a thought. I do have a thought.
Tell us your thought.
Wedged is like, yeah, wedged is like when the lights go on, the spark happens.
Yes.
And yeah, you can get drunk on it, like you said, and it can be a tool to bypass eventually if you don't move on or grow with it or digest it,
Yes.
properly
Exactly right.
digest it. But it comes from the name of one of the divine names of God, El-Wajid, which means the one that is complete. So it's almost like you've touched something that's so complete that and it brings that first touch of love, like the first kiss kind of thing. And it can be very tasty and very, very sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely a good way to describe it. Thank you, Em.
that's all.
So then we get to kashif, which is the unveiling. This is what you have to get to from the first flash of the divine. What this is the veil's thin and the meaning's open. You may see connections in all sorts of different things. You could open up whatever scripture is your favorite, and you'll see things in it that you never saw before. You will notice your own impulses more clearly. When you begin to act mechanically, you will more easily see it. You will notice guidances in events. This is a little bit dangerous because you always have to use discernment when you get that. You know, you may be in an event where the person who is putting the event on says, and you can invest all of your money into our special fund here, and I guarantee you that you will get 10 times as much back. God says so. And if you do that, you deserve to get what happens. But this is insight, spiritual insight that begins to reveal itself to you. And it ideally, if you use it correctly, it sharpens your discernment rather than dulls it. And it'll point to your blind spots. And it is meant to clarify the steps that you need to take right now. And not to turn life into a puzzle hunt. Do you understand what that means, puzzle hunt? Let me give you an example. When I was young, I knew a very nice girl who was convinced that she was getting messages from aliens, from the good space people. And the way she got them was in various signs. She would drive and she might see turn left or left turn here, and she would go left. She would just follow all of these signs, thinking that they would eventually lead her to the good space brothers. As far as I know, they never did. But she would get caught up in signs like that. And
Literal signs.
yeah, literal signs. Well, it would also be a bird flies that way. You know, it would be all of the oracle stuff. And she would spend hours, sometimes days, driving around following these things. And that's not what this is talking about. So, and that's the puzzle hunt. The risks that you find in kashif are credulity, taking every hunch as a revelation, curiosity for its own sake, or a subtle pride. I see what others don't. And that's what my friend had, is she knew that she was seeing the signs given by the good space brothers that other people just couldn't see.
So you couldn't even say anything to her, like, hey, I'm curious about this. She'd be like, no, I know what's going on here.
Yeah, it would be kind of like that.
Hmm.
And it ruined her life.
Yeah. I would
Hope,
imagine this is also like when people get really, they see quote unquote synchronicities everywhere.
yeah.
And
And there are synchronicities everywhere, but just because you see them doesn't mean that they mean anything.
mhm.
So the third step in this is marifa. This is gnosis. This is tasted knowledge, direct experience, not from books, not from good space brothers, not from anything other than direct apprehension of the real. And this is heavy duty stuff. This is knowledge that has soaked into you. You don't just know something like God is merciful. You taste it. It is uh, you spontaneously lean to mercy. The heart's orientation stabilizes. It's not performance. It's just living the reality. And Marifa reorders your priorities and simplifies your inner life. You begin to prefer sincerity over display, usefulness over image. But the risks are really terrible. A subtle superiority, the knower's vanity, we call it.
So this is maybe even a little bit more insidious than like with Kashyap when it's like, they're just open to everything. They know that everything is a sign. This is a little bit deeper than that in some
Yeah,
ways.
this is everything is a sign, and I know what the sign means.
Hmm.
And it means that you will neglect learning and you'll neglect, for lack of a better term, the law. Not the law like don't drive over 65 miles an hour, but the law like don't steal.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like when you feel so certain in your own sense of things that you start to get a little sloppy. You start to get a little undisciplined because it's like, well, I mean, I know things already. Why bother with the details or with the outer picture?
Yeah, and this hopefully you are seeing this that with every one of these, there is a gift that it gives you, and there is a trap that it sets for you.
Hmm.
And James has a thought.
Well, I was just trying to get the distinguishing theme between this and the puzzle hunt. Now, the puzzle hunt, that sounds like a very personalized ego trip. I'm
Yes,
getting a message from this source to do X, whatever, and the problems with that are obvious. But what you're describing now seems to be more like a deep appreciation of a broad principle, not necessarily involving any big personal story or drama.
yeah,
And then the risk there is becoming kind of detached, depersonalized, dissociated, maybe. You
that's one
don't,
of the big risks, and you will withdraw from people oftentimes at
yeah.
that point.
Yeah, I think the classic stereotype of spiritual bypassing shows up strongly here.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that. I've been there, done that.
Yep.
And
Little,
so, like, yeah,
So the puzzle hunter is really upping their personal story and amplifying it to the max, and the one who's bypassing on this level is actually turning their back on it, neglecting it, disavowing it.
Could be. It could
Yeah.
be like
Something
that.
like that.
Or buying into it at a much deeper level. This
Okay.
is where you will find cult leaders who are true believers.
Well, they make the best cult leaders, don't they? The most convincing,
Oftentimes.
for
Yes.
want of a better term.
So Todd has a question.
Yes, Todd.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Todd says, is this why Buddhist teachers stress the hack out of Dhamma and Sangha?
Meant
The what?
I meant heck, stress the heck out of Dhamma and Sangha to prevent those who are making progress from getting lost or worse, becoming monsters.
Yeah,
Yes,
because the
and you're gonna,
community is one way to prevent
yes,
that. And the Dharma is the law or the pattern or whatever you want to call it.
yep.
So absolutely correct.
RM asks, how does one save oneself from traps? I think not
I'm
getting
glad you
attached to
asked.
gifts, but continuing to learn. Yes, we will
Yes,
get into that.
to stay a student, first and foremost. Keep the outward study and the inward practice together. Add hidden acts that no one will praise. Ask for more truth than experiences. And one sign that you are really touching marifa is that you will have a gentler conduct most of the time, not a loftier talk.
So you're not trying to be fancy. You're just trying to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we went over that with Kashif actually.
We might not have.
Hmm. So with Kashif, that's the one where you are just fascinated by all the things that appear to you and getting taken up by that. You test yourself. You do gut checks. You check in with others. You get feedback on what's coming up for you in terms of these things that are being revealed to you. That doesn't mean you have to totally deny what your own experience is. But the main thing is you're trying to see if these unveilings have any substance to them. And often that comes through their effects. Are they bringing out in you a sense of greater humility, gratitude, more of an impulse towards being of service? So, things that will help you discern that are, like I said, gut checks and checking in with other people who are probably a bit further down the road than you are, who have been through this before and have some wisdom to offer there. And you don't give up your everyday responsibilities. You keep doing your day-to-day normal stuff instead of running off to be a
Special.
recluse or something. What was that, Mushtaq?
Special.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of where people start saying, oh my God, I'm going to become a shaman. And they run off to, go on
Run
some
off to
spirit
the
quest.
Amazon and spend 3 weeks drinking ayahuasca, and they come back and they think they know something.
Hmm.
And sometimes it will take months or years to extract their heads out of their asses from doing that.
Yes.
Did I say that out loud?
It often happens. May as well name it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you find that the things being revealed to you are distracting you from being real with yourself and others, and from doing the things that are important for you to follow through on day to day, it's probably just a distraction. It's probably a false unveiling. So that is how we look critically, thoughtfully, I should say, because we don't want to disregard everything that is unveiled as something that is false. That's not necessarily the case, but that's how we consider dealing with kashif in a healthy way. And as Mushtaq said, with marifa, that's the gnosis, that's the taste of experience and the knowing for yourself. We stay humble. We have those knowings, and yet we stay humble, and we realize that we don't know it all, that there is still so much more to learn and so much deeper to go. So we don't need to be developing errors and putting on display what we're beginning to trust within us. You act through that wisdom that's developing. You don't talk about it. So that brings us to the last one, doesn't it, Mushtaq?
Yes, the fourth pillar, which is mushahada. And you've heard us talk about this before as the third stage after self-observation and self-witnessing. This is direct witnessing. This is the steady beholding of the real, a lucid awareness of the real that remains while you speak, buy, sell, parent, code, not a trance, but sobriety with light, the knower, the known, and the knowing feel gathered together. Classical language puts this near fana and baqa, which is like ego annihilation. At a risk of sounding a little bit on the religious side, mushahada turns your life into service, and not service to a person, but service to the true, the real. You move through the forms while serving the giver of forms. Obedience to that becomes sweet because you are not being obedient to a person. You're not being obedient to a creed. You're not being obedient to anything other than the truth. And it puts you in a state of continuous gratitude in a certain way. And it has a couple of risks, the biggest of which is mistaking a peak for permanence, mistaking the hal for the maqam.
The state for the station.
Yes. Or using only God talk to dodge ethics and responsibility.
We see, oh my God, how much do we see that?
Too much even for me.
Yeah.
And the great teachers of the path set down rules to keep you from falling into these traps. And we've talked about those rules, and we'll probably talk about them again. Maybe even next week we'll go over them again. But one of them is make a poor man your friend. Do not have any connection to the kings and powers of the world. Keep your promises. Eat lawful food. If you're a Muslim or a Jew, you know what lawful food is. Do you know what lawful food is for anybody else?
What do you want to say about that?
I want to say that lawful food is food that is acquired honestly and produced kindly. If you slaughter an animal, you do it with an understanding. Of what you're doing. And it's not possible sometimes for everybody to, I mean, for years I was able to get my meat from a particular ranch. And I knew exactly how the animals were treated. And they had, as we used to say back in the day, they had really, really good lives. They were cared for and had lots and lots of freedom. And then they had one bad day. And that is the way to do that. And the same with plants. You know, are you raping the earth to get your cornflakes? If you are, you might want to reconsider. And this is, maybe asking a lot, but it can be done. The more conscious you are of what lawful food is, the food that you are conscious of how it is produced and how it comes to you, and that feels moral to you. And so it's not anything that a book says, it's what your heart says. Does that make sense?
Seems to. Yeah.
But I think it's very difficult for someone who lives in a city to manage that.
Difficult is not impossible. It may be inconvenient, but it is not impossible. I mean, I live in a city now, and I'm very careful about where my meat and my eggs come from. I make sure that I have a sense that they are coming from actual pastured beef and actual free-range chickens. Free-range means they run around during the day outside. They eat bugs, and you can tell the difference. And there's
Yes.
ways you can do that.
Yeah, in fact, I've recently started only buying pasture-raised eggs, and I do agree they're a lot better.
Yeah. And with a lot of these places, you can go to the farms and see what's being done. I used to do that at least twice a year to the farms that I bought stuff from. It ain't hard. The farmers usually love it because they want to show off their work. And the way that you meet them is you go to community markets.
Yeah. And for people who are on a fixed income, many of these community markets, many supermarkets now include more sustainable foods
Yeah. And there
in
are
their
groups.
available options. I
Yeah.
mean, I know this from experience, so.
Yeah. And there are groups at farmers markets these days that will take SNAP. They have set it up so
Yes.
that they can do SNAP payments. So
Yeah.
it's not impossible. It just requires a little bit more work.
And obviously we understand that SNAP is up in the air right now, but when it is there, that option should be available to you. All right, so where are we?
We are about to tell you how this fits in with what we talked about last week with dhikr al-āniyya.
Yeah, I do want to finish up a little bit about the mushahada though.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean,
Carry on.
think about the ethics of your actions, basically. That goes down to what you eat, the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you talk to others. Are you objectifying yourself or others? We talk about that a lot. Are you seeing the subject in self and other? And of course, at this stage, the idea is for you to start thinking about how life has its ups and downs. Nothing is permanent. You are part of the flow of things. And so you're a witness to that. This is the direct witnessing factor. And there's no need to get caught up in the drama of it. You just do the work in front of you. So that's where you're at by the time you get to this. That's the capacity one is trying to protect and uphold and commit to at the stage of direct witnessing, mushahada. All right, Mushtaq, let's move forward.
Okay, so the stuff that we taught you last week is the glue that holds this all together. It is the tool by which you walk this path. When you do a little bit of present moment exercise, you get the wajid, you get that spark. It opens up for you. You continue and it becomes a light on the path. At Marifa, you continue the walking until it transforms your gait. And at Mushahada, you are walking with the light everywhere, to take that metaphor one step further.
Yeah. And this is, in some ways, it's literal, it's metaphor as well.
Yeah. But the thread through all of this is continuous remembrance of the now.
Mm-hmm.
Conscious breath and continuous remembrance of the now. You can do a lot of little exercises. You can do little brief stops in your day where you fall back into the remembrance of the now if it's slipped away from you. You can carry the names of God in your heart. And we're not going to talk about that right now because that's beyond the scope of this. And make sure that you have a companionship that keeps you honest. Here's a rule of thumb. If an experience doesn't improve your adab, and adab is courtesy, truthfulness, reliability, ethics, all of this kind of stuff.
Right manners, right action.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Don't promote that into a station.
So if it doesn't improve those adab, then don't think of it as a station. It's not somewhere you want to stop. You want to continue forward to keep refining yourself and allow the fruits of your labor, you're walking forward to inform you where you're at. How are you doing? How are you developing? The results of your actions are going to tell you.
So along with that, there is this quality that the Ārif-nāma talks about. It uses a phrase that is sabuk-bālī, which literally means light-wingedness. It means an inner unburdening that lets the heart lift through the stages that we just talked about. And I usually translate this into allow everything to be as it already is.
With thanks to Adyashanti.
Yes, I stole that right from him. I filed off the serial numbers. I gave it a new paint job, and now I am telling it to everybody.
Yes.
But that is a perfect example of what this light-wingedness means. It allows you to unburden yourself. If you are burdened with resisting what is, it's like, so living in New Mexico, there's this stuff called caliche clay. And when it rains, the dry, dusty, hard ground turns into this clay. And if you walk through it, you will end up with 20 pounds of clay on each shoe. And that is definitely resisting what is. The only smart thing to do is you take off your shoes and you walk in the mud because it doesn't stick to your feet quite as much. And even if it does, it's easy to get off.
When it dries, you just
Oh,
yeah.
you don't even drive through it. Man, the first time I drove through that stuff, it got all up in my wheel wells and it unbalanced every single wheel.
Yeah, I was saying
Wild.
dry, but
Yeah.
yes, I can imagine that's hell. Um, yeah. So that's a illustrative example of what it means to not deal with things as they are, to not be with things as they are, navigate the world as it is. You're trying to make it what you want it to be or what you think it should be or what people told you it was supposed to be. That doesn't work out so well.
Yeah. And we can get really detailed in this. You know, we can say that you have the lightness of the body, which is found in the breath. When your breath is relaxed and easy, when the in-breath and the out-breath flow into each other without any kind of constriction, that's the lightness of breath. Emotional lightness is releasing the stories, the resentment, self-pity, complaints, all of that stuff. Cognitive lightness is less telling yourself stories in your head, less rumination, less self narration, fewer opinions. Think about all of the opinions that you have right now. Just think about them and ask yourself, how many of those opinions do you really need? Seriously, how many of those opinions do you really need?
I guess one thing that comes to my mind is like opinions about celebrities and what celebrities are up to or what they're wearing or what their hair looks like right now. Like, I don't know how much we need to hold on to that.
Ian,
Uh, I just wanted to throw in the classic opinions. Everybody has one.
yes. Yeah, and there are very few opinions that are actually important. I have opinions about the beauty of the Noor, and I have opinions about what the best chili in the world is. And other than that, the rest of it's kind of irrelevant. And in case you're wondering, it's Hatch chili. Best
You
in the
tell.
world.
Yeah. So let's see.
The ethical lightness. Pay your debts, keep your promises, avoid dubious earnings, avoid guilt and complication, and make sure your conduct is clean.
Yep.
Social lightness is avoid fame seeking, avoid argument, especially fruitless argument. Prefer good company to isolation or performance. So then we come to another thing that the book talks about, which is for the Gnostic, they look from the real to the real. For the Gnostic, al-haq, the truth, the real, is the starting point and the object of seeing, and it becomes the basic posture. It is direct reference to the divine. And that is something that needs to be cultivated. The scholar arrives there by inference, by the reading of the holy books, by listening to the words and deeds of the prophets and all of that. And the one who is looking from wajid is free from the ways in the sense that the immediacy of the experience kind of ruptures the reality. But for the Gnostic, the starting point is the divine reality, not a concept of it. I'm not sure what we can say about this that will make sense right now. So,
yeah. Hmm.
and then the last thing that we're going to talk about is something that the Prophet Muhammad advised, which is die before you die. The Ārif-nāma really emphasizes this. And this doesn't mean drop your body. It doesn't mean annihilating your mind, your body, or hating life, or any of that kind of stuff. It means that the ego's claims, self-importance, compulsive storylines, clinging, all of that stuff dies. You want the reflex that says me first, my image, my control to die away. What remains is the witness. Practically, the death of die before you die happens usually in small increments. And we definitely want it that way because it's a whole lot easier than all at once.
Titration.
Yes.
Usually a very, very good thing. Meaning a bit at a time. Adapting as you go. Yes. James says, die before you die. Then when you die, you won't die. Thank you, James. Hmm.
So there's a few tricks you can do with this. One is to name the things and release them. When you catch yourself grasping, uh, manipulating an impulse to be admired or to win or whatever, just let it go. Another way to work on this is to every day do a kindness that no one knows about. Not a single person on the earth knows that you did this. And you just do it and you let it go. This is sometimes harder than you think to do at first. And Abd al-Khalik, his words were put into this book as well. And one of the things that he said was, close the door to the formality of sheikhhood and open the door to friendship. Close the door to khalwa, solitary retreat, and open the door of sohbet, companionship. So what do you think that means? Jefferson, yes, please.
Have some folks that you're walking this path with, at least in one part of it.
Yeah, that's definitely something that it means. And it means that even if you have somebody who is acting in the role of teacher, it is not their job to be the master. It is their job to be the friend and to treat the people who God has given them to care for as partners in the endeavor. This is what makes us different from most folks. James.
Well, I was wondering, as well as the admonition to have the circle of spiritual friends, could it also be a reference to the habit of trying to sort of climb up into the witness and disconnect from life? Or am I pushing that as an interpretation too
Yeah,
far?
you don't want to disconnect from life.
No, I'm not advocating that. I'm saying, is
Yeah.
that also a warning against that? Not just
Yes.
the have
Right.
human companions
Absolutely.
on the path, humanizing companions on the path, but also not becoming, what do they call it in Zen, a dead void heretic or something? This guy
Well,
locked up in the absolutes, it doesn't have to deal with the relative anymore.
kind of, yes. I mean, I would say that this path warns against that for sure. And it's one of the things where it's like temporary retreat can be really refreshing and renewing and necessary for so many of us. But the idea is that it's temporary.
No
And that,
monkhood.
what's that?
No monkhood.
No monkhood.
Essentially, no monkhood, yes. And there is a balance to be found. And at this, there are often there's this tendency to go into retreat to just, avoid the hassle of having to deal with other human beings and their different ways of doing things as a way to just become embedded in one's own perceptions of spiritual practice and the importance of that to one single person. But the idea is that we're talking about something that allows us to be of benefit to more than just ourselves. Ideally, that's the goal, is to be a benefit to the world at large by being present in it, as opposed to taking ourselves out of it. And I think at the time this quote was put out in the world, and for quite some time afterwards, the standard, the tendency of teachers most commonly was, I mean, even still today, to be the guru that everybody worships and has to service and, you know, kowtow to. He was pushing back against that. And likewise, the idea that, the godly thing to do is to disappear into a cave or a cell under your house where people come and bring you food and clean up after you or whatever. He was saying that's really not where it's at, people. Let's try something different.
Yeah. And in the history of the Khojagan, when it was the Khojagan, they did not allow people to do things like bow to them. They didn't put up with this great deference that teachers were paid at the time. And that has a lot to recommend it, because that helps build a real community. And I've been in both kinds of communities. I've been in the communities where everybody is almost afraid to make a noise because it might annoy the sheikh.
Mm.
But they weren't like that by all accounts, and they recommended that nobody else be as well.
Yeah. And thank you, RM. RM says 9-sided circle is like this for me, at least.
Yeah, and we're working on that. Though I have to say, you don't really get a taste. This gives you a little taste of it, but you don't really get a taste of it unless you come to the live retreats.
In-person retreats.
In-person retreats, yeah.
Thank you, for the thumbs up.
Yeah, because the one thing that we do at the in-person retreats is we work our asses off to create real community.
Mm-hmm. And it's not easy, but it feels like it really allows for the application of the work. And that in itself is so, it allows for the upswelling of that sense of the lightness of being that we talked about earlier. Jefferson says, it's as though to place a master or guru in that quote unquote high place can be the objectification of the goal, God, awareness, and simultaneously a way to shuck responsibility for doing the work and likely more. Yeah. And that can be a painful realization
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah, basically, in my experience, when you place a teacher on that pedestal, the work stops. The work does not go beyond that point. And I've seen this many, many times. And we can go around the world today, right now, and see it happening in real time, because there's still a bunch of those guys out there. And the people who follow them do not evolve.
Mm.
Cherie, yes.
One of the things that I noticed about the retreat last year is that both you and Noor would, I'm not sure if it was deliberate, but you would step back a little bit, and if you weren't there at the teaching square, or we were expecting something, and it helped all of us try to step up or step into making things happen. Instead of waiting to be spoon-fed, this is what we're going to do, then some of us were able to feel that and go, let's do this. Let's get on with it, because they're not here yet, but we know what's expected of us, and we can step into that. And I think that's a really nice way of gently nudging us into those taking a proactive participation.
Yes.
In your own learning and everything. You're not waiting for the spoon feeding. That's what I liked about live retreat. That's the thing, like, can I do this? Can I, what will happen if I do this? He didn't say I could do this, but why don't we? But that's my nature too. They go, well, what will happen? he's not going to kick me out of retreat. And I think, well, maybe I'll try this, or maybe I'll do this, or, this is something I want to explore. And it gives the student or the learner a little bit more confidence in thinking, that was okay to do that. Look what happened. There was other opportunities and other avenues opening up in all of our experience. And that's what I really like about live retreat. And if you're in your own community, it's then you take that into your own home, your own space, and you think, okay, what needs to be done? I'm not waiting for somebody to tell me or ask me, I need your help with. Can you see that person needs help or whatever? And you just go and do it. No bells and whistles, no prizes.
And no parenting.
Yeah.
That's my comment.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. In the traditional way of this, the teacher would have busted your chops, because how dare you do something that you
Right.
instructed to do? How dare you take this upon yourself? And that is utter bullshit. You're a grown-ass adult, and you were acting as an adult when you did the things that you're talking about. And I, for one, and I suspect Noor for two, we're grateful to all of you who stepped up like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just as in a family home, right? When someone sees something that needs doing, to be able to step in and do that and not just leave that burden of not just leadership, but like the burden of doing on one or two people, and everybody else is just waiting to be told what to do. It's so much easier as a community to be able to inspire each other to attunement in that way.
Yeah, basically the only thing that Noor and I did was show up for the times when we were going to work together and make sure that everybody got to breakfast and dinner on time. And it happens that the retreat staff were really grateful for that last. They literally commented on the fact that we would all show up on time, be ready to eat, and then get out when we were done, which I guess is unusual.
It worked out for everyone. Hooray. Yes. Thank you, Shuri. We do have some thoughts in the chat.
Let's have some thoughts.
James was responding to Jefferson's remark about placing the guru in the high place is kind of a, it does yourself a disservice as well, ultimately. And James says, totally, the more you put someone up on a pillar, the deeper you hide in a pit. I can't argue with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take some questions from farther back with me?
Let's do it.
Okay, so RM had asked a couple things. She was saying, can we make an Enneagram out of these?
Yes.
I feel like we may have touched on that a long time ago. Not sure when, but
we can, and by we, I mean you.
Absolutely. Feel free if you are inspired to take it on and
share it with us on the forum, and we
yeah.
talk it over. And if we have suggestions, we'll make them. And if not, you will get a lot of applause. You get applause anyway, because it's hard and scary to do that.
Yeah. And we love it when people experiment with laying things out on the Enneagram process and seeing if it fits and how it fits, and helping us all explore in the process. RM also asks, I think this was about the finding a middle way between the Gnostic approach and the scholarly approach. When you were talking about the Gnostic looks from the real to the real, the scholar arrives by inference, and the one in-watched stands free of both ways. So this is something both beyond just the Yeah, with the feeling things out or the reading things in books. This is something that is sort of beyond both of those things. And as Mushtaq said, and I agree with him, it's a little bit hard to describe that in words. So that may be an aspect of this text that is worth exploring in depth through experiential learning. But you were saying our human perception of reality will always be limited.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I think my understanding was that maybe you were offering that as a way of interpreting this teaching from the text, and perhaps so. I think it's worth sitting with that before rushing to any conclusions about its meaning.
Yeah. Human perception, by its very nature, is limited. And we can get around that in certain ways, but we can never be free of it. Not as long as we're alive. And if you get a taste of divine perception, you will never, ever be able to say a word about it.
Not because you're not allowed to necessarily, though it may be safer if you don't, because the world is crazy and people tend to get crazy about people and things they don't understand. But also simply because it's hard. It's hard to talk about things that are
Yeah. And at a certain
out
point, it's
there.
impossible
Mm-hmm.
because the words to describe what you experience have never been invented. They cannot be shaped by a human mouth.
Mm. Yeah. So hopefully those give you, if not, a brilliant answer that resolves all confusion, at least gives food for thought and contemplation.
And so the bottom line with all of this is
Thank you.
cultivate continuous remembrance. Cultivate the remembrance of the present motion, present moment, as frequently as you can. Make it the place that you live. Go from it when you need to. If you need to think about the past or the future or do some planning, do that. Some of it can be done while staying in the present moment. Some of it is difficult. That's okay. Just come back to it. And that is the key to all of this. If you do that, then all of these things become clear. Does that make sense?
Any questions or thoughts that anybody might like to bring in?
Yeah. And I have to say, you do not have to pay several $100s to get a mantra to do this.
Yeah, there's one thing I've been vaguely wondering about in the back of my mind, and I don't want this to be a distraction, but I've been wondering what, if any, relationship these concepts have to Gurdjieff's idea of man number 4, 5, and so on.
This would probably be if you were living in the present moment dhikr, that would probably be close to the equivalent of man number 5 in Gurdjieff's pattern of doing it.
Yeah.
So
Roughly
in a
speaking.
sense, these are perhaps the stages that you go through between man number 4 and man number 5 when you cross that equator in the Enneagram?
Yeah, these are the steps that you go through from man number 1 or 2 or 3, whichever one of those that you fall into, to man number 5.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I would
Sure.
not say that they align, one for one. I think
They're
it's more
close.
dispersed throughout. However, you can think about it in terms of a progression in that way. Is that helpful, Ian?
Yeah, it sort of makes it all fall into place rather more clearly.
Yeah.
Good.
And as I said at the beginning of this talk, Gurdjieff pulled a great deal of his material from this tradition. It was not fragments of an unknown teaching. Lots of people knew the teaching. They just didn't live in Russia or France or England or America. So Gurdjieff, like Castaneda and Madame Blavatsky and all of these other people, were able to bring this thing in and go, hey, look, this is something completely new and only I have it. And I'm not bad-mouthing Gurdjieff from doing that. That's just good salesmanship.
All right. Hey, Todd, you got any thoughts? No. Thanks for being here, though. How are you doing, Heidi?
Oh, okay. Just absorbing.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And
Anyone
I
else?
know this is not the sexy stuff. I realize, when we do these, our viewership drops in half, and I expect that. And I don't really care because this is the important stuff. I can talk about Al-Khidr or the Sarmun Brotherhood and all of these things that people get really thrilled over, but that is superfluous when it comes to what you actually need to do to develop, excuse me, the skills that one needs for this.
Yeah, this is not the good feels and fascination channel, that's for sure. And we prefer it that way. And I think many of you are in that same mindset as well. And we really do appreciate that a lot. As we've often said, this is for people who would like to be awake, not entertained. And of course, we can be entertaining as well. We have fun together, and that is so
You are
important.
totally
But
entertaining, my dear.
it is not the purpose of what we do here. Yeah.
For me, this is a come to reality channel,
Mhm.
and it's cool stuff. What you shared today about Vejif Kishf, Marifa, and Mushaida feels to me like a framework in which concepts can be turned into lived experiences embodied to become acts of reality, and turned into behavior that can be witnessed and cultivated, to kind of. So, and the framework is suggesting that the veg is probably when you come in first contact with an idea, and the keshf is diving into that idea and taking the veils off it to come and look at it from other points of view at it and its applicability to any given thing in whatever you're looking at. And then as you unveil the idea and the intricacies around it, turning that around to become a marifa, to know about it and to what it looks like in the lived form, or the experienced applied form. And as you apply, a different kind of knowing sets in. It's no longer just the knowing of the brain stuff, but it's a knowing of the body. It's embodied. And then once it's embodied, it's then pulling out of it again, not becoming that only that, but becoming the witnessing that new embodiment unfolding, opening, and applying in the world. And keeping that mushahida part, that witnessing part alive, can eventually give you that direct witnessing, which can then, that whole process could be a door in itself to the greater knowing and the divine, that vertical connection. And then the fena and the beka bit, which is so important to then not get caught up in any of it, and then to start the same process again with the new uncovering, new vegged, and just keeping mindful to not get stuck in any of those, because it's like the wheels in a machine. It's meant to be carrying you to create and produce more and more of it, or deeper of it. And hopefully, in the name of being free, conscious, present human being. That's how it felt to me. So I really, and I loved el-haq, haktan hakka, like from reality to reality, witnessing reality with reality. It's beautiful.
Yeah. What she said.
Thank you. Wonderfully put. And that kind of gives us a sense too about, what RM was asking about, how do we put this, using the Enneagram as a symbol for process and moving through a process, and the spiral nature of that, as you were describing, where you move through it. You never the idea is not to be stuck at any point, but to flow through it, to move forward, to expand on what's already become accessible, and to deepen and expand. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that each one of those aren't a means to a method, but is the method to the means, if that makes sense. But used all together, like it's not to just be constantly seeking and being in the veg state.
Yeah.
And the same with the kesh state, and the same with the marifa state, or to be in that I'm just here to witness, and, like you said, disconnecting from the world, putting yourself on a high seat somehow. And they're so easy, those traps are. I so appreciate you talking about the traps, because often we talk in the tradition, often we talk about the positives of veg and keshf and marifa, but we kind of we don't really look at the traps of it, the way it can affect us in a negative. While we're stuck in the negative and we're seeking an answer, the very thing that we're exploring could be what we're trapped in. And so using these four things, like the four legs of a chair, to keep you in your upright, you need all four of them working together, not imprisoning you in one or the other. And they can be like quicksand, sucking you in. The marifa part, the kesh, or the kesh part, there's so much pleasure and joy in it. There's so much joy in the veg part that you can get sucked into that like a quicksand, and you stop hearing even your own screams of help. So when you've got all four of them working together and with that mindset, it then can deliver you to the outcome of being a true witness. And I think that's where what we're yearning for anyway, because the true yearning that we have for anything in life ultimately is for the yearning of the beloved, which is the oneness, the wholeness, and the sense of feeling whole and one and integrated within our own selves, as the micro, and then witnessing that in the macro. But if we get stuck in any one point, we're not going to reach that or have it perpetual at least. I don't
Thank
know,
you.
I'm waffling on again. So I'll just
No, it's good stuff, and it really it creates cohesion in what we were talking about this evening. So thank you so much for that. Yes. RM says talks like this are like eating our broccoli for our soul. Yes. Well, I mean, hopefully it's tasty broccoli. You can always dress up broccoli and make it yummy. All right. So anything you might like to add, Mushtaq?
No, I think we've covered what we needed to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy it or not, as you wish. And we will have one more of these next week, and then we'll probably go back and talk some more Gurdjieff stuff just to keep people excited.
So let's go to Brady Bunch mode.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us and contributing your wisdom. You know, we're all this is the good companion practice, and I'm so grateful for that. Well, we can wave to each other, wave to everybody watching on the replay. Take good care. We will see you at the same time next week, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for sticking with us. See you then. Bye.
Bye.